Imagine a life where you're consistently overlooked, taken for granted, and trampled upon. Is it truly the world's injustice at play, or have you unwittingly trained others to treat you this way? What if the way you're treated is simply a reflection of the boundaries you've failed to establish? The issue isn't your kindness. It's the absence of boundaries that invites such treatment. Niccolò Machiavelli, a figure from a distant past, grasped this concept better than most. He recognized that power transcends mere politics and warfare. It's about the presence you command and the unspoken rules you establish. The lines you silently draw and the permissions you withhold shape how others perceive and treat you. When you allow disrespect to slide without repercussions, you send a clear message. I am not in control. You don't become a doormat due to excessive kindness. Rather, it's when you allow that kindness to overshadow your authority. Boundaries are not mere shields for protection. They are declarations of power. Give us a like if you learned at least one new fact that genuinely changed your perspective today. Don't let the algorithm decide what you see. Subscribe now and hit the bell to guarantee you catch our next big story. Many perceive boundaries as gentle suggestions or polite requests, but Machiavelli would scoff at such notions. For him, boundaries were not soft concepts, but tactical maneuvers, a form of psychological defense that safeguards your identity from external encroachments. He implied that a wise individual does not permit others to dictate their treatment, for doing so renders them non-existent, merely a pawn in someone else's game. Every time you let someone overstep without consequence, you reinforce their perception of control over you. Boundaries are not simply guidelines. They are powerful statements that demand respect. They declare, this far and no further, and when crossed, they should come with a price. Machiavelli understood that people respond to structure, not mere niceness. You can show compassion, but without a backbone, that compassion will be exploited. Take a moment to observe your relationships. The friend who only reaches out when in need, the coworker who burdens you with their issues, the partner who manipulates you into silence. These behaviors are not random. They are learned responses, and you are the one who has inadvertently trained them. You have responded, accepted, and failed to resist, thereby teaching others what you will tolerate. Can kindness become a double-edged sword that leaves you vulnerable? From that point onward, they are not being cruel. They are simply acting logically. Why would they cease actions that benefit them when you've shown that there are no consequences? The fundamental principle of power is straightforward. Stop being overly nice when clarity is what's required. Machiavelli's first rule for any aspiring leader is to be feared when necessary, not for the sake of instilling fear, but for its effectiveness. If people realize you won't uphold your limits, you become an easy target, the accommodating one, the ever-available friend. This identity will drain you, leaving you empty and ashamed of your own complacency. Kindness devoid of clarity is a slow path to self-destruction. Instead of seeking to be liked, strive for respect. If that respect must carry a hint of fear, so be it. Boundaries are established not through gentle words, but through the consequences that follow when disrespected. Make violations costly. Machiavelli was clear. Mercy is only impactful when it carries the threat of punishment. If you forgive without consequence, you create a system devoid of penalties for betrayal. Here's the hard truth that few are willing to confront. If someone interrupts you and nothing happens, they will do it again. If someone gossips about you and you remain silent, They will sharpen their knives for the next round. If someone crosses your emotional boundaries and still has access to you, they've learned that your limits are merely a performance, not a policy. The Machiavellian solution is straightforward. Make it costly. Withdraw your presence, correct them publicly, or cut them off entirely. They don't need to be destroyed, but they must feel the weight of their disrespect. What if the true path to respect lies not in being nice, but in asserting your power? Your silence is not a sign of weakness. It is a loaded weapon they never want to encounter. Distance is a form of power. Cease the endless explanations. Doormats tend to over-explain, justifying every boundary they set. I just need some time to myself, they say, hoping for understanding. I'm not upset. I just feel enough already. Machiavelli knew that explanations signal weakness. The more you justify your decisions, the more you negotiate your position, and the more others sense that you lack conviction. You owe no one a lengthy dissertation. Your loyalty must be to yourself. Your no should be unequivocal, your disengagement should be firm, and your detachment should come without reasons or warnings. People do not respect endless reasoning. They respect results. Walk away decisively and speak nothing. That silence will communicate more than 100 emotional speeches ever could. Don't wait for the breaking point. Act swiftly, decisively, and without emotion. Many doormats wait until they are shattered, until the disrespect becomes so blatant that it cannot be ignored. But Machiavelli would argue that a wise ruler acts before the signs of rebellion become apparent, before betrayal turns into open conflict. If something feels off, take action early. If someone drains your energy, cut ties quickly. If a negative pattern emerges, don't wait for another lesson to unfold. Avoid falling into the trap of hoping for change from someone who benefits from your vulnerability. The moment you sense your peace diminishing, your mind racing, or your worth being undermined, step back. Do so cleanly, like a blade sliding from its sheath. Establish a personal code and adhere to it unwaveringly. Powerful individuals do not set boundaries on impulse. They operate by a consistent code. Machiavelli advised leaders to create clear policies rather than react emotionally. When rules are well defined, respect follows naturally. You must cultivate your own code of personal sovereignty. For example, I never answer calls during work hours. I don't owe explanations to those who drain my energy. If someone disrespects me twice, they lose access. If I feel guilted, I distance myself. Once you have established your personal code, it's time to enforce it with unwavering precision. There should be no second-guessing, no internal debates, and certainly no dragging your emotions into the mix. Your code serves as your backbone. The instant you start bending those rules, you lose the perception of being a solid individual. You were never meant to be a doormat. You became one by allowing it. That ends here. You're not here to plead for respect. You're here to demand it through your presence, your policies, and the consequences of crossing those lines. But what happened next is crucial. In the next segment, we will delve deeper into the tactical framework Machiavelli would have designed to safeguard your boundaries, and how you can compel others to self-regulate around you without ever needing to raise your voice. For now, keep this in mind. The moment you stop asking for respect and start insisting on it through your actions, the world will redefine your role, and your power will return. You've drawn the line. You've ceased the explanations. You've demonstrated the first sign of strength. Now comes the part where many falter: maintenance. The challenge of setting boundaries isn't at the outset. It's what follows. When individuals test you, when they push against your limits, and when they feign ignorance of the lines you've drawn. Machiavelli would argue that this is where most rulers stumble. They establish laws but falter in enforcing them. They threaten punishment but ultimately choose forgiveness. They demand respect but shy away from conflict. In his view, it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Because even a hint of fear will enforce your boundaries automatically. So now, we abandon politeness. We construct the system Machiavelli would advocate, one that makes violating your limits feel like a mistake no one dares to repeat. Make the consequences of disrespect immediate and unavoidable. A boundary is only effective if there are repercussions, and those repercussions must be swift, clear, and unwavering. Machiavelli believed a ruler should act decisively and punish promptly, especially after betrayal. Not out of cruelty, but because hesitation breeds rebellion. When someone crosses your boundary, don't offer them another warning. They already understand the implications. Don't ask for explanations. They will lie or deflect. Avoid engaging in a debate. Your energy is not a courtroom. Instead, take action. Stop responding. Walk away mid-sentence. Cancel the meeting. Shift your tone from warmth to cold indifference. No warnings, no words, just a sharp change that leaves an impression. People remember discomfort. And if disrespect results in unease, they will avoid it. Not out of respect for you, but out of fear of the consequences. Reframe your boundaries as a matter of justice, not pettiness. The reason you hesitate to enforce them is that you mistakenly view it as selfishness or harshness. But that's a misinterpretation. Machiavelli would remind you that enforcement is a form of governance. You don't punish out of anger. You do it to maintain order in your realm, your mind, your kingdom. So stop asking yourself, am I overreacting? Instead, consider, what kind of system am I reinforcing right now? Which argument do you think is the weakest, and why? Challenge us in the comments. Let's discuss this below. Every time you let someone slide, you're endorsing a kingdom without rules, where anyone can invade your peace and leave you shattered. Boundaries are not emotional. They are structural. You're not being cold. You're being consistent. Utilize emotional distance like a weapon. Machiavelli advised rulers to maintain a level of emotional detachment from their subjects. Not out of cruelty, but control, as emotions can cloud judgment, and excessive closeness invites manipulation. You must practice that same discipline. When someone oversteps, your instinct may urge you to explain, argue, or plead for understanding. Stop. Instead, create emotional space. Withdraw without discussion. Let them experience the void without filling it. That distance communicates everything. I'm not chasing after you. I'm not here to convince you. If you wish to regain access, you'll have to earn it differently. You don't need to shout. Just exit quietly. Finally, without tension, remove all warmth. That absence will haunt them far more than any confrontation ever could. Master the art of strategic ambiguity. Sometimes boundaries are most effective when they are vaguely defined yet still felt. Machiavelli often employed veiled threats, indirect language, and calculated silences. Why? Because mystery compels people to self-regulate. When others are unsure of where your line lies, they tend to behave more cautiously. Try this. Say less when someone disrespects you. Allow the silence to linger. Don't justify your withdrawal. Simply enact it. When someone demands an explanation, respond with, "You know why." This prompts them to reflect, panic, and reconsider their actions. It establishes a fear of crossing an invisible threshold they didn't even realize existed. And next time, they will tread carefully. You don't always need imposing barriers. Sometimes the threat of unseen tripwires is far more effective. Withdraw your energy. It's the most valuable currency you possess. Attention fuels relationships. Approval wields power. Access signifies status. And if someone infringes upon your boundary, the most Machiavellian response is straightforward. Cut off their supply. Don't raise your voice, don't issue warnings, don't post passive-aggressive remarks. Just begin to withhold what they desire most: your emotional availability, your praise, your validation, your time. You become a void in their lives. This is how those in power operate. They don't escalate their volume when disrespected. They become absent. And that silence resonates far louder than any outburst. A man who disappears without notice is 10 times more intimidating than one who argues. Make others earn your presence. One of Machiavelli's darker insights is that value is created through scarcity. The prince who is constantly seen becomes ordinary. The one who remains distant becomes legendary. You must ensure that your time, energy, and kindness are privileges that others must earn, not rights they receive by default. Reflect on this. Who gets access to you without effort? Who drains your energy without reciprocation? Who assumes you will always be available? Now, flip the script. Make people work for your kindness. Make kindness a rare treasure rather than a default attribute. Reserve your warmth for those who truly deserve it, avoiding automatic generosity. The moment others perceive your kindness as something they can take for granted, you've relinquished your power. However, when they begin to view it as a privilege they might lose, respect comes rushing back like a thunderous storm. Your existence should resemble a fortified castle, not an open public space. For many, their emotional landscape resembles unguarded borders. Anyone can stroll in, utter anything, take what they please, and leave without consequence. Machiavelli would assert, your realm must always be defended. Your focus is a precious asset. Your emotional well-being is akin to national security. Your time is a valuable resource, essential for achieving your goals. Thus, embrace the mindset of a ruler. Feel no guilt in turning down invitations. Guard your tranquility as if it were a priceless gem. Limit your inner circle to an exclusive few. A fortress with open gates garners no respect. No one fears a ruler who permits commoners to occupy the throne. Close the gates. Allow them to knock. Let them ponder their standing. And if they are indeed welcome, ensure they understand. It's not due to their insistence. It's because they've earned your approval. You're not merely cultivating self-esteem. You're establishing authority. This authority transforms relationships, halting manipulation, prompting others to think twice before addressing you. Not out of malice, but because you've calculated your interactions. But what happened next could change everything. In the forthcoming segment, we will explore Machiavelli's strategies for reshaping how others perceive you, ensuring they no longer test your boundaries, but instinctively adhere to them. True boundaries are not just about enforcement. The most effective ones are never crossed in the first place. You've drawn the line. You've made the repercussions of disrespect crystal clear. You've distanced yourself, grown cold, and locked the gates. Now, you enter the most potent phase, altering how people view you. Machiavelli grasped a crucial reality that many fail to understand. Your genuine power lies not in your reactions when someone oversteps, but in how you condition them to refrain from even contemplating such actions. This involves psychological framing. It's about managing your reputation so deftly that people unconsciously adjust their behavior around you, just as they would lower their voices in a cathedral or straighten their posture before a judge. This is where boundaries become second nature, not out of affection, but from the fear of misinterpreting your intentions. Reinvent your identity. Abandon the notion of being nice. Nice is the most perilous label to bear. It may sound appealing, but it's merely a beautiful coffin. Nice individuals often get trampled. They are frequently overlooked. They become emotional punching bags, as others assume they will always rebound with a smile. Machiavelli understood this truth. What others expect from you dictates their treatment of you. So, cease being nice. Begin to embody something entirely different. Remain calm, yet unyielding. Be generous, but elusive. Exude friendliness while remaining difficult to read. Show kindness, but be prepared to be cold when necessary. This transformation doesn't occur through mere words. It manifests through your actions. Start eliminating the signals that scream harmless. Stop overdoing the smiles. Cease softening your tone at the end of each statement. Stop apologizing for your very existence. You are not a gentle breeze. You are a controlled blaze. Let them sense that. Create tension with your silence. Doormats tend to talk excessively. They fill the void with apologies, reassurances, and nervous laughter. But Machiavelli valued strategic silence. Why? Because it cultivates tension, and tension fosters caution. You must learn to say less while conveying more. When someone makes a joke at your expense, don't laugh. Simply maintain eye contact. When someone pushes, don't defend. Just remain quiet and allow their words to linger like smoke. When someone asks too much, pause and respond. That won't work for me. No anger, no drama, just space. This compels them to reflect, to second guess, to wonder. Did I overstep? Is he upset? What is she thinking at this moment? That is control. Because when people fear your reactions, they begin to behave better without needing explicit instructions. Be the first to withdraw. Power resides with the individual willing to walk away first, from the conversation, the deal, or the relationship. Machiavelli believed that a ruler must be emotionally detached, ready to sacrifice comfort for the sake of control. Apply this principle rigorously. In disputes, exit rather than escalate. In the face of disrespect, vanish. Do not plead. When under pressure, simply say no once and leave it at that. Allow others to experience the consequences of crossing the line. Access denied, connection severed, energy revoked. Do not announce it. Avoid theatrics. Just disappear and let silence impart the lesson. Once others recognize your willingness to leave, they will think twice about pushing you again. Control perception through contrast. Machiavelli was a master of contrasts. He understood that extremes amplify impact. You should do the same. Be warm when treated with respect. Be unyielding when disrespected. This contrast teaches others how to earn your best. Try this approach. Be generous with someone who values your time, and fall silent when they don't. Be engaging with those who listen, and emotionless when interrupted. Be accessible when appreciated, and invisible when taken for granted. This creates a pattern of behavior. When I treat them well, I receive the best from them. When I don't, they vanish. That's operant conditioning. You're not merely defending boundaries, you're engineering behavior. Never reiterate your limits. Make your boundaries firm. Every time you restate a boundary, you weaken it. Every time you say, "This is the last time," but allow them to remain, you teach them to disregard your words. Machiavelli advised, "When punishment is necessary, let it be swift and never repeated." This becomes your new rule. One line, one warning, one reaction. That's all. No chasing, no reminders, no lengthy lectures. When asked, "Why are you acting differently?" respond with, "I already told you once. I don't repeat myself." Now, your presence carries weight. Your words command respect. But what will this transformation look like in your daily life? How will you enforce these principles without losing your sense of self? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the next phase of Machiavelli's teachings. But what will this transformation look like in your daily life? How will you enforce these principles without losing your sense of self? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the next phase of Machiavelli's teachings. Your boundaries must become unyielding laws that govern your interactions. To truly reshape how others perceive you, embrace an air of mystery. Eliminate predictability from your demeanor. The individuals who pose the greatest threat tend to be those who are difficult to decipher. Machiavelli extensively explored the strength that unpredictability brings. Why is this? Because those who are predictable can easily be manipulated. If others are aware of your triggers, if they know your emotional cycles, or if they anticipate your forgiveness after a brief period, they effectively hold power over you. It's time to change the narrative. Respond less hastily. Use maybe more frequently. Allow your silences to linger longer than others expect. Say no without a hint of a smile. People inherently fear what they cannot predict. When your reactions become less foreseeable, your presence becomes a challenge to navigate. And in that moment, they will cease their relentless probing. Establish clear standards and allow others to fall short of them. You need not sever ties loudly or dramatically. Sometimes, the most Machiavellian strategy is to let others disqualify themselves. Here's the approach. Continue to elevate your own standards without needing to include everyone in your journey. Tighten your schedule without feeling the need to apologize. Maintain a high level of tranquility so that anyone chaotic appears foolish in your company. Over time, those who cannot meet your elevated standards will naturally drift away. No confrontations, no drama. Just a natural process of selection. People will either rise to meet your expectations or crumble beneath the weight of them. And you will never need to raise your voice. This is how Machiavelli would guide you to stop being a doormat. By transforming how others view you, you rewrite your role in their perception. You create an aura that demands precision, respect, and even fear. As we conclude, we will delve even deeper. You will learn how to reconstruct your life so that boundaries are no longer something you defend, but a comprehensive system that inherently protects itself. Because the ultimate aim is not merely to keep saying no. It's to cultivate a life so elevated and powerful that others will think twice before even asking. Give us a like if you learned at least one new fact that genuinely changed your perspective today. Don't let the algorithm decide what you see. Subscribe now and hit the bell to guarantee you catch our next big story. And in the next video, we'll discover 11 tactics Machiavelli used to master manipulation.